Welcome to Giants Roundup. It is Tuesday, March 26, 2019. Just only that's right, 2 days away from opening day. So baseball is almost here, so it's time to preview. That's right, it's time to start preview. We're going to do the NL West preview tonight, preview the Giants. We'll see. Is it going to be a year where the Giants are going to be a contender? Or is this going to be a year where the Giants are going to embrace the tank? The Giants have been active with roster moves, getting their opening day roster together, and unfortunately, and still out there in free agency is Craig Kimbrell, and let's see if they've been signed yet, but we'll see. Craig Kimbrell and Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell still available at this moment. Kimbrell rumored to right now. Looks like the two teams in pursuit of Craig Kimbrell are the possible reunion with the Atlanta Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, this may not bode well towards the 2020 now with what could be a very weak class coming into 2020 with Mike Trout extended. And this could increase the likelihood of a strike or a lockout in 2021. And I could easily see the owners locking out the players too. Because owners are getting smarter. They're not going to be spending the stupid money like they used to. So I don't think players are going to get paid. And after these 12 and 13-year contracts that were handed out this year in this offseason, we could see a rule like they have in the NHL where they can go no more than 8 years or something like that. So, this is turning up to be what could be a very interesting 2021 as in terms of a work stoppage. And, I honestly think it would not be surprised if it's not a strike if the owners decide to lock out the players. Because I think salary cap baseball is coming. So players better be used to it. And unfortunately, what might overshadow an MLB lockout is potentially a lockout in the NFL. And so it might get overshadowed by the fact that the NFL may be locking out the same time Major League Baseball will be in a work stoppage. So it may be on the B side of the NFL. As of course, the NFL is king, but we'll see what happens. But this could translate to another slow free agency in 2020. I'm going to take a look for a second to see who the free agency class is for 2020. The free agent class of 2020. Of course, you're going to have Madison Bumgarner now maybe being your top. And we'll get to him in a moment with the Giants. This is his final year of the Madison Bumgarner. Jose Abreu, so Abreu could be shopped at the deadline. Eric Cole's contract expires, so that's interesting. We'll see if Steven Strasburg opts out of his contract. Zach Wheeler is a free agent. Dylan Betances, so that could. And we'll see if a club option for Sean Doolittle and Kenley Jansen. So, Jansen? That's going to be a good one. Does Kenley Jansen opt out of his contract with the Dodgers? And this is really a contract year for him coming up. We'll get to that a little bit later in the NL West preview. But now it is on to the roster, the many roster moves Zadie has made this week And it's been, yeah, it's been a train wreck in the outfield, so to say. And the Giants did decide to designate. First guy designate was offered back to the Astros is Drew Ferguson. Designated for assignment was hitting a buck 30 in spring training, did not work out, so he's been offered back to the Houston Astros. And then they decide to release Cameron Maben. That's a no-brainer. He's facing DUI charges and another one who was not hitting, who was hitting below the Mendoza line. And then the Giants did acquire another utility player in Connor Joe. And then the Giants briefly signed Matt Joyce. And then Joyce traded to Atlanta. So, and I honestly was not crazy about the idea of having Matt Joyce on the Giants. He's another veteran outfielder that would be just a bridge and who's just coming off a horrendous season in Cleveland, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Connor Joe traded to the Giants. He could play first base, second base, third base, both corner outfielders, corner outfield spots. And Joe hasn't been great, but we'll see if Joe sticks to the Giants roster by default. And then Mac Williamson. Looks like Mac Williamson might make the team. And Henry Ramos, another guy who nobody's heard of. Henry Ramos has had a good enough spring training that he might make the roster. Then Rene Rivera was released by the Giants earlier this week, picked up by the New York Mets. He will back up Wilson Ramos in Queens. And then Steven Okert designated for assignment. So that's. And then Mike Herb traded the Orioles. And I think Herb could actually, Tyler Herb, who's, I thought could have a breakout year in Sacramento, now heading to the Orioles organization in exchange for Mike Yastrzemski. I kind of think Herb could be up with the Orioles at some point in the 2019 season. So Herb could be, we'll see how Tyler, I wish him a lot of luck in the Orioles organization. And then Michael Reed acquired from the Twins for John Andrioli. But it looks like he might go to Sacramento. We'll see what happens there. And then the other trade, CJ Hinojosa traded to the Milwaukee Brewers for Eric Kratz. Kratz likely to start the year backing up Buster Posey in the squat this year. So your backup catcher now is Eric Kratz. He has a little bit of pop in his bat, so interesting to see how many games Posey catches this year. A lot of that's going to do with the progress of one Joey Bart down in San Jose. I think he could be a really good there. And then of course, Aramis Garcia option to Sacramento. We'll see him back up with the Giants by June or July. We'll see him back up. And then the Giants trade Chris Stratton for Williams Jerez. Stratton unlikely to make the roster. Heads to the LA Angels of Anaheim. will likely slide into the number 4 or number 5 spot of the Angels rotation. I think he could be one that could be a much better fit with the Halos. And yeah, you got Heaney over there now, Andrew Heaney, and then Andrew Heaney, Mike Harvey, Trevor Cahill. So yeah, I think Stratton goes to the 5, and then Stratton might be your 4 in the rotation. So I think that was a really good trade by Zadie, and it keeps. And I think I honestly think that now with Stratton not under pressure to keep his job in the rotation, I think he will thrive a lot better with the Angels this year. And I think that was a good trade. Picks up a flamethrower for the bullpen in Sacramento. So that was a really good move there. And then Tom Murphy claimed off of waivers. Maybe carry 3 catchers. We'll see how that goes. And then today, Ty Block optioned to Sacramento. Block having a horrendous year, horrendous spring training. ERA of 6.08. So I think he will go take a refresher course in Sacramento. Could be the first man up once one of the bullpen guys gets hurt. And Pablo Sandoval is his spot in jeopardy for Connor Joe. We shall see. And certainly Joe's got that super utility. And Sean Anderson is definitely looking like a guy we should see up with the Giants maybe by July or August. Was really good last night. 3 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. And yeah, I think Anderson will be up with the Giants at some point in the 2019 season, along with Andy Suarez. Suarez, another one, option to Sacramento. Could definitely thrive by marinating in Sacramento for a little bit longer. Those are your 2 guys. Maybe Beatty is your 3 in the rotation for the River Cats this year. So the Giants certainly have some deep pitching this year. And certainly the other bubble question could be Mark Melancon. Melanson's definitely had a horrendous spring training, and the big question is will Melancon be on the roster or will he be cut? I think certainly Melancon's one that is going to be on a really short leash if he is on the 25-man roster come Thursday. Melancon definitely not looking like a shell of his former self. I don't even see Melancon anywhere near late innings to start the year. So I think the 7th inning guy could possibly be sinker baller, could be Sam Dyson possibly. Sam Dyson could be working the 7th inning, or you might see the hard throwing Reyes Maranta. Maranta has looked excellent in spring training. I think he could be ready for late inning situations this year. I don't know if he will start the year in late innings relief, but that is something I think he will slide into later into the year. That's something that I think is going to be good for Reyes Maranta. Looks like Nick Vincent is going to lock down one of the last roster spots in the bullpen. It looks like Nick Vincent will be in, and possibly looks like it's going to either, and looks like Bergen is going to be the other one that's going to make it. Travis Bergen likely to be on the opening day roster. A really good find by Zadie as a Rule 5 draftee. He has been lights out in spring training, so he is likely one of the last roster spots in Travis Bergen. And the big question marks now, Trevor Gotts. If it's up to me, I think you move on. I think Melanson's out of here, and Trevor Gott takes his spot. I just you got to go with Trevor Gott. I've liked what I've seen out of the kid. Got to find some way to keep him in the bullpen and keep him in the Giants bullpen. He's looked excellent. Yangervis Solarte definitely one that's going to lock down a 25-man roster spot. Solarte, the Solarte definitely a lock to make the roster. But the outfield's a mess. Is it going to be Mac Williams? You've got two spots locked down with Steven Duggar in center, Gerardo Parra in right. Do you go with Mac Williamson to start the year in left? Maybe you do that. And then possibly have Connor Joe. It's however you put it, it is a train. It is going to be a train wreck there in left field. And this is really last chance for Mac Williamson. But I certainly think that the Giants will continue to look for acquisitions and stuff through trades or waivers to find a decent power hitting outfielder. But I think Duggar could be one that could potentially hit 20 home runs this year for the Giants. He has some power, so I think the home runs are going to come this year for Steven Duggar. But I mean, does the situation get bad enough in the outfield that you see more of Brandon Belt playing left field? And that's a possibility. Or Connor Joe, I don't know, Brandon. But it could get ugly enough that you may have to play more of Brandon Belt in left field, and that's not even an ideal solution in itself either. Belt definitely not the fastest outfielder out there, so that is definitely some issues there that you've got to. The infield lockdown. The other question mark is, can Joe Panic stay healthy this year? Panic has swung a hot bat, and I'm hoping this could be the year he gets it together, at least to boost his trade value by the deadline. So that's. And I'm really liking the Giants' rotation this year. You've got probably Bumgarner in the one, the two, Derek Rodriguez, the three is Samardzija. And, I just hope with Jeff Samardzija, can he pitch well enough that he can make boost his trade value? At least get that way we can have some alternates of trading Madison Bumgarner. And one hope is maybe you can get Samardzija can pitch well enough to be able to unload him. Derek Holland's back. I'm looking forward to more Derek Holland this year. It's definitely a serviceable number 4, number 5. Drew Pomeranz looking pretty good in spring training. I think pitching at AT&T Park is going to be just what the doctor ordered for Drew Pomeranz. So there's your rotation right there. And I think Nick Vincent will be your guy to start the year to eat innings for the Giants. And but the River Cats have a nice rotation too. I think question is Block going to be pitching out of the bullpen, or will he be starting in Sacramento? That's one too. But I think Sacramento is looking pretty good. You got a lot of questions. Aramis Garcia getting everyday at bats down there. We'll see what Garcia can learn in AAA. He definitely needs the everyday play. So, and another guy I'm interested to see what did he learn from his experience in the show last year is Chris Shaw. Can he get back to being a good prospect? That is going to be a good question for Chris Shaw this year. Can he cut down. The big thing for Chris Shaw is he needs to cut down on the strikeouts. But I think the power is certainly there for Chris Shaw. You've also got other guys waiting in the wings. You got Helio Ramos in San Jose this year. Another outfielding prospect, Heath Quinn, will start the year in Double-A Richmond. Certainly some options there. You've got Ryder Jones. Can he final? I think if Jones can stay healthy, he could be a guy that certainly could be up with the Giants at some point later this year. I really think before he got hurt, he was starting to finally put it together with the Giants, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ryder Jones is the next man up in the infield. But we shall see what happens there. Other than that, let's just play ball on Thursday. That is, I'm ready for a good year, and of course, this is the final year of Bruce Bochy. It'd be nice to get a playoff appearance to get him to finish on top, but if we're losing, it's all right. It's going to be all right. I kind of think Bochy knows the writing's on the wall, and he's a great manager. He knows it's time, and what's going to happen this year is going to happen, and I'm going to wish him a very happy retirement. They're going to give him a hero's send-off this year in San Francisco at Oracle Park, so certainly I'm and with Zadie, people are kind of getting nuts with the trades. Trust the process. He was not handed a great roster to begin with. He's trying to get rid of a lot of these Bobby Evans bad contracts, so it's going to take a few years to unload those contracts. That's going to take some time. So I think that's, and I'm kind of glad the Giants didn't go out and spend stupid money. This is, to me, a victory in itself, and that's step one. Next year, Zadie gets to hire his own general manager and manager at the same time, and I think that's a good thing too. You can create a good working relationship between the two that way. So I think, this is going to be a scratch year. And where you have the Giants placed, yeah, but I think Zadie gets the opportunity maybe to hopefully find hopefully the 49ers are starting to find between John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Hopefully they can find that Shanahan-Lynch type combination next year in the offseason. Of course, the other question is going to be, does Larry Baer return? He's been today on the news. This came out just today. Larry Baer is suspended by Major League Baseball until July 1st, 2019. Suspended without pay. And I don't know if Larry Baer will return after the 1st of July. That status is certainly up in the air. So certainly not a good way to get the season start off on where it kind of. But this is just going to be what the Giants are going to be this year. It's a lot more of Evan Longoria, a lot more of Brandon Belt, Buster Posey. Can Posey stay healthy this year? But where do I have the Giants ranked? Now it's on to the MLB West preview. And yeah, I don't expect it to be a good year for the Giants. I've got them picked dead last this year, but I think this is going to be a bottoming out too. This is more of a purge of getting rid of bad contracts this year for the Giants and get ready for the next generation of the baby Giants. But yeah, I don't think wins are going to be very hard to come by for the Giants this year. The outfield's a mess hitting wise. And there's just not a lot of power in the lineup. Your power bats may be Brandon Belt and Steven Duggar if they can stay healthy. Health, of course, is another question mark. But I think even getting to 70 wins is going to be very hard for the Giants this year. I think this is a rebuild year. But I think there's going to be a lot of guys getting flipped for prospects at the deadline. I think you're going to see a little bit of a tear down of the bullpen. That's where I think you're going to see a lot of your trades this year. I think it's going to be Will Smith that gets moved at the deadline. It could be Tony Watson getting traded, Sam Dyson. Those are the three guys I think that are going to be that I don't think will be on the Giants roster. Maybe Jeff Samardzija, if he's doing well, I think he gets flipped. And then, of course, the big one's Madison Bumgarner. And a lot's going to do with how much of a teardown is Zaidi going to do at the deadline. And also, too, it's just the declining velocity. How does Bumgarner adjust to his declining velocity? He's certainly been working with a lot more of the off speed, so that's a really good sign there. But here's hope, though, too. There'll be some baby Giants up once we are out of it by the summer. I think we see Sean Anderson up with the Giants. I certainly think he's going to be the next future piece of the Giants rotation. Could we see I'm interested to see how Tyler Beatty does. Can he finally have a good season in Sacramento? That's another. I know Beatty had looked a lot better in spring training this year. So I'm. And the other question mark, is he a starter or is he a reliever at this point? And I think I'd be leaning towards putting him in the bullpen. If that's where I think Beatty's going to be, if he's called up, he'll be a reliever, and that's where I have him. But I think this is a scratch year, and I think this year's going to be more about getting prospects for the Giants, and that's not a bad thing either. And so I've got them dead last. Fourth place, I am going with the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're tearing it down to the bolts. They traded Paul Goldschmidt this offseason. They've got a couple trade chips still. They could look to move by the deadline. They've got Archie Bradley that could be traded. They could look to trade Robbie Ray. I think they're definitely looking for a king's ransom for Robbie Ray if they trade him. And of course, I think they would love to unload Zach Greinke and his atrocious contract in Arizona. They've overachieved the last few years, but I think now they're unfortunately Ken Kendrick doesn't care. And I'd wish he would care a little more about his team. And now he's trying to campaign on a new stadium. And I don't think Chase Field's that bad of a ballpark. I've been to Chase Field. It's got its issues, but it's not a bad ballpark at all. I think if they do a little bit of renovations, it could be a very nice ballpark. But I think fourth place is where I have Arizona this year. Third place, the San Diego Padres. This is a team that is definitely going to be on the rise this year. You've got Eric Hosmer. You've got Manny Machado, Will Myers. There's a couple arms that are developing. You've got Joey Lucchesi, who right now will be your number one starter. And I certainly think at some point the Padres will go and look for an ace. Maybe they go after maybe they're the team that gets Dallas Keuchel here in the next few days. I think Dallas Keuchel would be a great fit in San Diego. And of course, there's other arms they could look to acquire at the deadline. Maybe they take a look at Dan Straley. Now with Dan Straley being released, but I think this is an up and coming Padres team. I think 500 is where I think they'll finish fairly close to 500 this year for the Padres. So that's where I've got them. They'll be in third place, and if Andy Green's going to be on the hot seat a little bit, so that's. But I think the Friars should finish third place, and yeah, they won't be in the cellar this year. They're not going to be the punching bags of the NL West. So stay classy, San Diego. Things are looking up for you guys. In a close second place, I've got the Colorado Rockies. You got the recently extended Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon. 3 lethal bats right there. Could definitely put some pop. And then we shall see how Daniel Murphy does over there in Colorado. The big question mark is the starting pitching. Can John Gray find his form this season? Can Wade Davis have enough in the tank? But I think Colorado's offense is good enough to get it done, even if the pitching's a little bit suspect. I kind of have Colorado in the wild card hunt this year. I don't know if they make the wild card, but they will definitely. And I think this could be the year they finally challenge the Dodgers for the title. But they're going to come up a little bit short. I've got Colorado finishing second in the division, and of course, first place. The Dodgers' reign of terror continues. I think no Kershaw, no problem. You've got plenty of other guys that can fill in the rotation. You've got Urias, Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler. You've got Hyunjin Ryu. You've got Maeda. You've got Rich Hill. And they've got more pitching depth down in the farm. Alex Vertigo now likely up in the show. And of course, you've got Justin Turner. You've got Kyle Seager. So I think this will be another. I don't think it's going to be as much of a cakewalk as it was in years past. I think it'll be a little more closer this year. But that experience comes back in the end. And the bullpen still remains to be suspect. And of course, the Dodgers will be out. Their farm depth will allow them to go out and acquire talent near the deadline. But yeah, I think the Dodgers win the division, but it'll be much closer than years past. And that's how I have the NL West this year. Yeah, it's not going to be a great year for the Giants, but you know what? The future is going to start looking bright in a few years. You're going to have Heath Quinn coming up, Joey Bart coming up, Helio Ramos, maybe Sean Jelly, whoever the Giants draft this year and next year. So don't worry. It's just a bottoming out this year, and there's going to be more. There's going to be a lot more in the cupboard next season. So don't. This is definitely not the end of the world. And I think things will. It may not be this year, but I think things are going to look up for the Giants after this year or so. But you know what? 100 wins, 100 losses. Stay orange to the end. Everybody have a great night. We will see you. We'll see you Thursday after I get off of work. We'll do a recap of the Giants' opening day game against the San Diego Padres. That could be seen on NBC Sports Bay Area. And we'll see how it is. No Ahmed Fareed this year. It's kind of a bummer. And also make a note this year on ESPN2. ESPN this year, there is no more Baseball Tonight. That has been canceled, outsourced to the MLB Network. So no more Baseball Tonight this year. But let's go Thursday night. Play ball!